continuing. You already see that the Gemara of the worst punishment matches the New Testament. Why? It says, Jesus himself says, I am in Gehenom forever, in Tzoar Tachat, in poop that's boiling, lava of poop forever. Why? I went against the rabbis. You look at his book, regardless of who wrote it. Everyone follows it. There's 200,000 versions of it. All agree he went against the rabbis. Already you have something, it sounds kind of the same. Already sounds kind of the same. Now, you have yourself another thing. You have this Mishnah, this week's Mishnah. This week's Mishnah says, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kol ha-mechabed et ha-Torah, gufo mechubad al ha-briot. V'kol ha-mechalel et ha-Torah, gufo mechulal al ha-briot. Be'ezrat Hashem will connect this Mishnah to Yoshke, and how we show, proving that it's all falsehood. This Mishnah, 4.8, continuation from 4.7. We did 4.7 yesterday. Obviously, it's Siyat Dishma, it's not planned. You see here it says, Rabbi Yossi says, whoever honors the Torah is himself honored by people. Whoever disgraces the Torah is himself disgraced by people. So Rabbi Yossi, simple translation here is that whoever honors the Torah, whoever honors the rabbis, whoever honors the Talmidei Chachamim, whoever honors Hashem, Hashem will lead people to love him. The world around him will love him. Why? You're showing Hashem love. You're showing his firstborn son's love. The world around you will show you love. On the other hand, you show Hashem hate. You show his children hate. You desecrate his children. You desecrate his Torah. The world around you will hate you. This is, by definition, the beginning and the end of Jesus. By definition. What did he do? He went against the Talmidei Chachamim. He went against Chazal, the sages. What ended up happening? The world around them hated him. They crucified him. They killed him. They abused him. And even till this day, he's insulted on a regular basis by his own people. So that's first thing. Second thing is, how is this connected? It all depends, we learn who is Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi himself is a proof of this other thing. Rabbi Yossi, Bar Chalafta, lived in Usha. He used to process hides. Aside from being a sage, Talmid Chacham, he used to process hides. And he lived at the time of Rabbi Akiva, and he was the student of Rabbi Akiva, right at the time where the Roman Empire, Imach Shemam v'Zichram, had the Emperor Hadrianus, or Hadrian in English, Hadrianus in Hebrew, and this is when they killed Rabbi Akiva. They shaved his skin off, and instead of complaining to God, what did he do? Kriyat Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, and his neshama left his body on Echad. Sanctifying Hashem's name until the last moment of his life. When he was getting butchered up by these Reshaim, his student said to him, Rabbeinu, you could say the Shema Meforash, you could say the name of Hashem, you kill everybody here. Why are you letting this happen? He's 120 years old. Why are you dealing with so much pain? He says, my whole life, I've been trying to fulfill the mitzvah that I say every day in Kriyat Shema. Ve'afta et Hashem Elokechem, b'kol levavechem, b'kol nafshechem, b'kol meodechem. Kol levavchem, my whole heart, I gave. My money, I gave. My life, I never gave. And I was worried my whole life, I'm never going to be able to give my life for Hashem. Now I finally have a chance after 120 years, and you want to ruin it for me? Till the last moment of his life, this tzaddik Yesod Olam that got to the 50th level, the highest level of Kedusha, highest level of Kedusha, sanctifies Hashem's name. Leavdil, J.C. Penney, what does he do when they crucified him? Complains to God. Why'd you leave me? Wait a minute, didn't you guys just say he's God? What, he leave himself? He left himself? Where did he leave himself? In the bathroom? What happened? Why'd you leave me? How are you complaining about yourself? And if you're not yourself, if you're a Mashiach, how dare you complain about God? Well, you don't know that there's something called kaparat avanot. You don't know there's such a thing that Hashem, everything is for the good? What happened? So here, Rabbi Yossi lived at this time. Why is this important? When Rabbi Yossi lived, that he was the student of Rabbi Akiva, that he was living at the time of Hadrian. Why? Why is this so important? Because Rabbi Yossi was the author, according to Rabbi Yochanan, in Masechet Yevamot, page 82, of a book called Seder Olam. Seder Olam. Seder Olam has two parts. Seder Olam Rabbah, Seder Olam Zuta. In Seder Olam Zuta, Rabbi Yossi, look at the Siyata Dishmaya here. Rabbi Yossi says the Yeshu mentioned in the Gemara, that's the student of Yeshua ben Parchia, is the Yeshu Anotzri. Is the Yeshu, the Rasha Merusha, that got Am Yisrael to leave God. Same one. Same one. Who? Rabbi Yossi. It's almost like you would think I planned this guy making a video about me. Now maybe you think, maybe this is only one opinion. Because what the Christian church says? Christian church says, no, it can't be the student of Yeshua ben Parchia, like this Chazir said. It can't be the student of Rabbi Yeshua ben Parchia. Why? He says Rabbi Yeshua ben Parchia lived almost 200 years before historical records say that Jesus lived. Because Jesus lived at the time of Hadrian. Here's the problem. Rabbi Yossi lived at the time of Hadrian. So you're going to tell him who he saw, who he didn't see? He actually lived there. If Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, Shu, call him whatever you want, Gargamel, if he lived, he would have known, hey, this guy walked on water. Hey, this guy, I don't know, caught some fish. This guy sold candy. This guy got whatever. You would have known, hey, Yeshu, Manishma, how are you? What's going on? You tell him, hey, what's up? High five. Something. You should do tshuva. Something. He says, I was alive. I wrote a book. In the book, it's historical records. Historical records of what happened at the time of Hadrian. Yeshu, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. There are only two places that talk about Yeshu. New Testament, like I said, 70 to 300 years after he died. And Gemara. No newspaper wrote about him. No journal. No little baby that wrote a report. You know, they ask little kids in school, who is your idol? Abba is my idol. The baseball player is my idol. The, I don't know, Smurfs are my idols. No one wrote a little school report. Jesus that walked on water, according to their nonsense, he's my idol. No one said it. No one wrote anything. Now you live in Florida, there's sports, there's different camps and so on. If a little baseball team, little league team, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, they play a game, there's some newspaper that will write about this game. In the grand scheme of the world, this game is not really important. No one really cares about the game other than the parents, really. But some newspaper will make a big deal enough of this game and will write it in a newspaper. And if the game is a championship game between two towns or two cities or two countries, it may even go on the national news, even though it's a game for 10-year-old kids. Right? Somebody will write about it. Someone will write a journal about it, a newspaper article about it, something. So you would think, if the Mashiach arrived, or God in human form arrived, someone would write about it. Shabtai Tzvi they wrote about. Someone would write about it at the time. Something. A journal, a letter, a love you note, something, a show, I don't know, a reality show or something. Here's a reality show. A woman named Mary cheats on her husband but fakes it. Says that God made her pregnant instead. I don't know, something. Something would happen. Nothing. Why? Only record is in the Gemara. So you would, okay, so the Gemara talks about it. Tells you who he is. No, they don't want you. No, it's not him. What do you mean it's not him? They lived at that time. That's the only record. No, there's other sages that say it's someone else. So let's see what the sages actually say. Now, the story goes as follows. At the time of King Yanai, he killed many chachamim. And Shimon ben Shattach's sister was actually King Yanai's wife, and she sent a letter to say that things have calmed down. Yeshu ben Parachia, who was Jesus' rabbi, fled to Alexandria of Egypt with his students. But after things calmed down, Shimon ben Shattach sent him a letter and told Yeshu ben Parachia that things have calmed down, you can come back. So on the way, he stopped at a achsania. Achsania is like a hostel, like a cheap hotel. And he says, he was hosted very nicely, respected. And he says to the student sitting next to him, Jesus, what a nice Baal Habayit. Such nice people, they're hosting us with kavod. It's very nice. Jesus says he thought that Yeshu ben Parachia, Kodesh Kodeshim, Holy of Holies, is talking about how good she looks. Instead of saying, oh, it's nice that they're hosting us nicely, meaning it's etiquette, manners, you have to have it, especially if you've been Torah. This Soteh, Yeshua over here, thinks that he's actually talking about how good she looks or how bad she looks. So what does he say? No, what are you talking about? She's ugly. She has round eyes, meaning like she looks like a sheep. Who is he say this to? To his rabbi. His rabbi says, Rasha, wicked, this is what you do. This is what you occupy your time with? Looking at women? This is what you've learned from me? And he kicks him out. He kicks him out. Jesus tries to come back. First 2 times he comes back. First 2 times he comes back. Yeshu ben Parachia rejects him to see that it's authentic tshuva. The 3rd time he comes back, Yeshu ben Parachia was planning to accept him, but he was in the middle of Kriyat Shema. And as you know, Halacha says you're not allowed to stop Kriyat Shema. Not allowed. Even if there's a snake climbing your leg, you're not allowed to stop Kriyat Shema and start talking to people. Snake goes around your leg, you're not allowed to stop, you have to continue Kriyat Shema. So of course, if a tembel over here wants to say something, you're not going to stop Kriyat Shema. So what does he do? He tells him like this with his hand. Like, wait a second. Without saying anything. Wait. Jesus was too egotistical to wait. He thought that he's rejecting him again. And he says, okay, I'm going dafka against the Chachamim. I'm going against the Pharisees. He called them Pharisees. Chazal. He called the sages Pharisees. I'm going to go against them. What is he going to do? He's going to start getting people to follow him. And he started doing it. He started using sorcery and different magic to get people to follow him. Became a Baba. Now Yeshu ben Parachia thought about it. He says, you know what? He's still a Jew. Let me go save him. He humbled himself even more and he went to Jesus. He says, Chazor becha, do tshuva, come back. Gemara Masechet Sotah, it says, page 47 says, Jesus says to Yeshu ben Parachia, says, I learned from you that once somebody becomes a machtia rabin, once you lead people astray, you lead other people to go against God, you have no more tshuva. And he left. He didn't want to do tshuva. It's not really true. Meaning, what the actual lesson is, what the Torah says, not that there's no tshuva, is that once you become machtia rabin, once you become a min, that gets other people to go against God, you don't get help from heaven to do tshuva. You can always do tshuva, but you don't get the siyata dishmaya that a regular sinner would make just once he wants to do tshuva. Tshuva is always accepted. It's just a matter of, you're not going to get the extra help from Hashem, which means it's going to become much more difficult to do tshuva. But Yeshua, Yeshu, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, he didn't listen to the rest of the shiur. He just listened to the first part. So he left. So now, these Messianics don't want you to believe this is the same Yeshu. So already we have this Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi ben Bar Chalafta, verifies it's the same Yeshu. Same one. Let's continue. In Tfusim Yeshanim, on Sanhedrin 103a, gives commentary on Psalm 90, verse 10. And they say, may your son never be like the son, may you never have a son or a talmid that spoils his own cooking, magdiach tavshilo, in public, like Yeshu Notzri. Says, this commentary on this pasuk is that make sure you always pray that you never have a son or a talmid that ruins everything, that gets other people to sin, like Yeshu the Notzri. It says it in a brachot also. It says, may we never have a student that spoils his own work, like Yeshu the Notzri. Brachot 17b. So here we're talking about this Yeshu. Is this Yeshu the same one? Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi, the same Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi that we talked about, that wrote the Kuzari, that had the debate with the Muslim guy, with the Christian guy, won the debate. He writes in Ma'amar number 3, Siman 65. In the Kuzari, it says, Yeshua ben Parachia, his student was Yeshu. It's the same Yeshu that started Christianity. This is 900 years ago. Already you have source number 2. Much closer than anyone in recent history that says otherwise. Continue. Rabbeinu Yaakov ben Rabbi Meir Tam, Rabbeinu Tam, his son, Rabbeinu Yaakov, it says in Tosfot on Masechet Shabbat, page 104b, Yeshu was the Yeshua ben Parchia's student. The Yeshu that started Christianity. This is, again, almost 900 years ago. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Yosef, a Israeli, in Yesod Olam, it says the foundation of Christianity started in the days of Yeshua ben Parachia due to his student, Yeshu. Again, Rabbi Yitzchak Abarbanel, one of the greatest minds that ever lived, but he was also very familiar with Christianity. How was he familiar with Christianity? What was his job? He was the treasurer of the King of Spain. When? During the Spanish Inquisition. When they killed us and kicked us out for being Jews after we won the debate. They didn't like it. So it loses indeed. In a commentary on the book of Daniel, he wrote a book called Ma'yanei Yeshua, Ma'yan 10, Tamar 8. He says the following: many are trying to fool the people by saying that Yeshu, that's in the Talmud, who was the student of Yeshua ben Parachia, is not the same Yeshu from Christianity. How could those fools of today, who were not there at the time, tell our sages who saw with their own eyes what happened? Now he's saying this while he has the Spanish people trying to kill us. He doesn't care. Ish emet. Why? If there was ever a time to lie, this would be the time. Save yourself. No save, no nothing. This is the truth. Don't sugarcoat the truth. Don't be politically correct. They want to kill us, die. Areg ve'al yavo. Don't make it like their Talmud is different than what it is. Why? It's Chilul Hashem. Rabbi Yaron Milunil. Rabbi Yaron Milunil, in a letter printed in Sefer HaChachamim, Mekorot Ayamim, Oxford, 5448. He says the following: I did an intensive investigation and calculation of the Christian calendar and whether it began with the birth of that person, meaning Yeshu. And I confirmed it's a big mistake. The Christian calendar is a mistake. They claim that their calendar started with his birth or death. There's no connection whatsoever. Yeshu was in the days of Yeshua ben Parachia, and I confirmed this with Christian scholars. The Christian scholars of his day says, yeah, you're right. This calendar that they have is wrong because Yeshua, their Jesus, lived almost 200 years before, 150 years before. Their calendar, the Christian calendar, has no root or foundation. Rav Yom Tov Lifman, in Sefer HaNitzachon, Siman 332, he says, Yeshu, that was the Notzri, was Yeshua ben Parachia's student. And what the Christians are saying about him being born at the time of Holdus, meaning Hadrian, is completely false. It was well over 100 years later, meaning 150 years later, same exact time frame. As we said, Rabbi Yossi confirmed it in Seder Olam, which is nearly 2,000 years ago, at the time. So we have not just proofs from 500 years ago, 800 years ago, 900 years ago. We have proof from 2,000 years ago. At the time this is supposed to be happening. People that eyewitnessed it. In Seder HaChachamim, Mekorot Ayamim, Oxford, 648, Part 1, page 196, it says, Yeshu died well over 100 years before the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. And he was the same student of Yeshua ben Parachia that's mentioned in the Gemara. The Ravad, in Sefer HaKabbalah, says the historians write that Yeshu was the student of Yeshua ben Parachia in the days of King Yanai, which was over 110 years earlier than the Christians say that he was born. But the truth is in our hands. The truth is in our hands, as the Mishnah has not changed. And there's many, many, many others that say the same. There are a few that say otherwise. But the predominant opinion, overwhelming majority of the opinion of the sages, it's the same issue. Same thing. Same thing. Now the ones that have a different opinion also have a different shita of who he was at all. There's about a handful of different opinions of who he was. Tosfot Arosh writes that the Yeshu is different than the ones that are mentioned in Sotah and in Sanhedrin. But both were Reshaim that used sorcery and led other Jews to become to sin. Both were Minim. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid also agrees, says that there was two different Yeshus mentioned in the Gemara, but both were Reshayim. Doesn't help them. Whether it's this one or it's that one, they're both wicked. They're both in Gehinnom forever. It makes no difference. But then there's the one that they're probably going to try to hold on to. The debate, the famous debate by Rabbi Yechiel Miparis. Rabbi Yechiel Miparis had a famous debate with a heretic called Nicolas Donin. This is written in Notzar Vikuchim, page 84. And Rabbi Yechiel Miparis did everything possible to prove that the Yeshu that's mentioned in the Gemara is not the same Yeshu at all. The Yeshu of Christianity is not even mentioned in Judaism. Not mentioned in Judaism at all. Why? Why is it not mentioning at all? Because if you look at the history and what happened, at the time, Nicolas Donin was trying to pass a decree to kill all the Jews for killing their God, for killing their Mashiach. So to save the entire people, we have to use our brain. We have to use, how are we going to say it? Well, you can't run away in time. We can't fight them. What are we going to do? Rabbi Yechiel Miparis says, I'll tell them it's not the same guy. What are you going to tell me? Otherwise, it's our Torah. You're going to tell me who it is? I can decide who it is. They don't know how to read Hebrew. They don't know anything. So he's not arguing that it's not the same guy because it's not the same guy. He's arguing because he's trying to save our life. He's trying to save millions of people. It's pikuach nefesh. Change the whole thing. If you Shabbat is on hold for pikuach nefesh. So here you see that the overwhelming majority of the sources indeed prove this Yeshu Yimach Shemo V'Zichro is indeed the same one. There's no mistake about it. Yes?
Yeah, I heard that it says in the Testament of JC when he was hungry but stuck without food.
Ken. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But then
there was a Tana.
We'll get to that.
He was able to get food.
We'll get to that. Thank you. So now, you see from here that this guy, same guy. Same guy. There is another opinion. Another opinion he didn't exist at all. An opinion he didn't exist at all because there's no record of him other than the Gemara, and if they're saying it's not the same guy, then he didn't exist. There's no record of him existing. That's another opinion. Another opinion is actually that he's called Ben Sidita. Ben Sidita. Ben Sidita is a much more interesting story. Why? In Echtov Israel by Rav Ephraim, he writes in Perek Bet, Perek Sheni, in Siman Vav. In the footnotes here, he writes the whole story of Ben Sidita, that this used to be part of the Gemara, but the Christians took away everything. So it's mentioned, Jesus is mentioned in the Gemara, but if you look at the English translation of the Gemara, it's not mentioned. His name is not in there. ArtScroll is not in there. In some Hebrew, he's in there. Some, not all. Why? Because the church put a knife to our neck and said, if you don't remove it, we're going to kill you. So the question is, if it's not the same guy, what do you care? If it's not the same guy that's boiling in feces right now, in a jacuzzi of feces, what do you care if he's in my Gemara? It's not the same guy. What do you care? Why would you sanction us? Why would you put a sword to our neck? Why would you kill us? Why would you chase us? Why would you torture us for some guy that's not the same guy? Why? Because it's the same name. You know how many people have the name Yaakov? You know how many people have the name Yitzchak? You know how many people have the name Yeshua? There's a lot of people. So just because we use the same name, why? There is another reason. Another reason is because many believe that this very same one very same one, is either also Ben Sidita, or Ben Sidita is the real one. Either way, it's also not good. Why? Ben Sidita, why is he called Ben Sidita, the Gemara says? Ben Sidita was the son of Miriam Magdalene. In Hebrew, it's called Miriam Magdali, which is the same thing. Who used to be married to one of the Chachamim by the name of Papus ben Yehuda. Papus ben Yehuda. Now, Papus ben Yehuda was a big Chacham, but he was a jealous husband. So he did not allow Miriam to leave the house. So when he would leave, he would lock her in the house. And Chazal says this was not the right thing to do. You're not allowed to do that. You made a mistake. This led her astray. Meaning, gave her an excuse to want to run out. But what happened? She met a goy boyfriend. We'll talk to her like the story of Romeo and Juliet. From the window. She says, Miriam, Miriam, when are you going to come down? One day on Yom Kippur. That's what Gemara says. One day on Yom Kippur, Papus leaves to go pray. This boyfriend, called Pandira, his name was Pandira, calls Miriam. And he says, Miriam, Miriam, how long are you going to be locked in? Want to come with me? She runs away with them, and she gets pregnant. On Yom Kippur. She gets pregnant. Now what happens to a woman in Judaism, a Jewish woman, that not only goes with a goy, but is married? It's called Eshet Ish. Eshet Ish, Chayav Mita. Death penalty. To avoid death penalty, what do? They invented a story. God made me pregnant. As a Jews bought it. Only the ignorance bought it. The point is, that's the story. That's Pendira. So this Ben Sideta was named after the mother. After the mother that's called a Sotah. She was a Sotah. Why? Because he was a Mamzer. Mamzer is son of a woman that cheated on her husband. So that's another opinion. And Gemara says that that's Ben Sideta, that's Yeshu. Either way, he could still be also Yeshu ben Parchia's student, or not. Either way, all opinions, he's not good.
He didn't have any kids, right?
That I don't know. That I don't know. It's possible, yes, possible, no, who knows. All I know...
You can't have kids, no?
No, you can have, of course, you can have kids physically, but as far as his kids, they have to marry other mamzerim or converts. But it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Why did he just kill her, Betty, after she cheated on her husband?
Who just killed her?
The Jewish people, after they know that she cheated on the husband. They didn't buy the story.
They ran away.
Oh, she ran away.
Ran away. So now, you have yourself quite a bit of information here that is overwhelming amount of information proving, proving that yes, my friends, the negative opinion about Jesus that's in the Gemara is indeed the same Jesus. Let's not fool ourselves to think otherwise. It is indeed the same person.